Alright, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing? Welcome back here today to another episode of the Just Ballin' Podcast. Today, we are talking more mock drafts. We are going to be reacting to Bleacher Report's final, or at least the last mock draft I will be reacting to from Bleacher Report about the 2025 NBA draft. And these are their updated predictions after the Desmond Bane trade. And yeah, I'm just so excited that the draft is about a week away. The NBA draft is a week away. Honestly, I feel like it has crept up on us so quickly that I'm really trying to figure out my final, 5 guys in my top 75 big board, which I'm preparing for hopefully Sunday over on my Swash channel. It's the largest big board I've ever done in my life. Last year, I think I did a 30 with a top 60 mock draft. My final mock draft will be all 59 picks, but yeah, a very deep big board, which is going to make undrafted free agency very fun for me, just to see where some of those guys go. We've basically known the number 1 and number 2 picks for a while now, so I won't talk too much about Cooper Flagg to the Dallas Mavericks and Dylan Harper to the San Antonio Spurs. But I think what's been very interesting is what was reported the other day by Jonathan Givony in his updated mock draft at ESPN, which I'll probably react to his final mock. But either way, it was about Ace Bailey and how Ace Bailey and his agent haven't really been respecting teams in his draft range and hasn't really been wanting to work out with some of those teams, which is also kind of fascinating. I don't know if Ace Bailey was like, I'm going number 2 or number 1 in his mind, but he didn't have a workout schedule with Philly till this week, which is kind of close to the NBA draft for Philadelphia to not really know much in person with Ace Bailey. But apparently the interviews have been a little off. And I know that I read online that Ace Bailey's agent was getting only doing interviews if he was getting paid, and it seemed like he wanted to be in the spotlight, which is I feel like a bad example for Ace, who's still this young kid who's going through a drastic change in his life. He's going to the NBA. He might be going to Philadelphia or Washington, Utah, one of these teams, and it's going to be he can make a lot of money in the NBA, be in the NBA for a long, long time, or he can kind of fumble what is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all the work he's put in. So Bleacher Report has number 3, Philadelphia. Also, shout out to Jonathan Wasserman. He's the main guy at Bleacher Report in their draft department. This is his mock. So yeah, number 3 is VJ Edgecombe to the Philadelphia 76ers, which has been linked a lot more as of late, which is really interesting because I didn't think it was going to end up being like this. Now, it could still be Ace Bailey at number 3, but I really expected it to be Ace Bailey at 3, because where does VJ Edgecombe fit on this team? I do believe that Edgecombe is a great two-way player, and he's my number 3 player in this class, and I think he's somebody that can get downhill, uses athleticism, that may be inefficient out of the gate, but he's really going to learn, and I think really develop well in the NBA. Honestly, no matter where he goes, I really like a lot of fits for VJ. Now, Ace may want to have a ton of shots out of the gate, and that's just not going to happen in Philadelphia. So Edgecombe is not going to get a ton of shots, right? Because you have McCain, you have Maxey, you have Grimes. That backcourt is pretty crowded, but injuries can happen. And Edgecombe is good enough defensively where he could play all over. And I really do like Edgecombe to Philly. He has comps of Wiggins, Iman Shumpert, and Victor Oladipo. Whoa! All right, I have not seen this one yet. This actually got a whoa out of me. Come on, Mal, you watch number 4 to the Charlotte Hornets. So you'd have to think Mark Williams would get traded if this happened. Oh, man, I don't mind, come on. And I think this could be a fine place for him to, grow and have a good playmaking point guard in LaMelo Ball. But he's not going to have, the greatest veteran group. Grant Williams, though, hopefully should be back next year. But, man, with Ace Bailey, I don't love Ace in Charlotte either. Okay, so Ace is still on the board. I would take Trey Johnson. I would take Con Knipple over Come On My Watch. I do believe this is a little bit of a reach, and I do wonder if Charlotte would trade down. But hey, what they did last year with T-John Salon, this would fit that mold. Lanky guys that have high boomer bust potential, that are extremely raw, that really need to feel out in the NBA, but you hope when they're 22, 23 years old, they're turning into some of the best players from their draft class. And that could happen from T-John Salon, and I hope he improves in year number 2, but he looked lost in year number 1. And if the Charlotte Hornets drafted Come On My Watch at 4, I may book them as the worst team in the NBA next year, or at least one of them. That is, oh man, if that happens. I mean, I don't love Trey Johnson in Charlotte. It'd be a fun offense, a little bit of a scary defense. I think if VJ's off the board, I would target Con Knipple. But I do like Trey. Definitely over Come On. Honestly, I think I would take the high upside swing on Ace Bailey than Come On My Watch. So at number 5, we have the Utah Jazz going Jeremiah Fears. Wow, so he has Fears and Knipple, or excuse me, Fears and Maui Watch ahead of Trey Johnson, Con Knipple, and Ace Bailey. That might get a stand up for me. Jeremiah Fears going in the top 5, but no Ace Bailey. Very interesting. I mean, does Utah need a point guard? I mean, I like they would draft Dylan Harper for sure, but you have Isaiah Collier. Can Collier and Fears be out there at the same time? Probably not. Two smaller guards out there, and Collier can hold his own defensively, but I worry about Fears defensively. I actually don't mind Utah as a developmental spot for Fears, who gets to have Markkanen out in the corner. He gets to have Walker Kessler run pick and rolls with him, and he does have some shooters around him like Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Keontae George. Like, it's a good spot for Fears. I'm just surprised with Ace Bailey on the board. He doesn't have Bailey getting mocked to Utah, or even Conkinipple, or even Trey Johnson. I think Fears... I don't know. Fears at 5 is a little too rich for me. So Ace Bailey go to the Washington Wizards, which I also believe was in this Jonathan Givony box. So maybe they are getting similar intel. I mean, I don't mind Washington taking a swing on Ace Bailey. I believe Ace Bailey could play out there with Bilal Coulibaly, with Bub Carrington, with Alex Sarr, and maybe even Keyshawn George if you think Carrington could be a true 1. Bailey could be the number 1 on this team by the end of the year if he kind of surpasses... Bilal Coulibaly is the guy getting the most amount of shots on this team. There's just a lot of buy-in you need from Ace. Do you worry about the competitive motor? Do you worry about the ego? Do you worry about him being able to play team basketball? Or is he going to be a score-first guy through and through? The shot selection has been talked about a ton. I do think he's one of the best mid-range jumpers in this draft. I'm excited for him to get like stronger and fill out into his body more at the NBA level where he can absorb contact, finishing downhill. But he's a project. He is. I don't think he's going to average good efficiency in his rookie year. I think it's going to come with time. If his potential hits, he could be Brandon Ingram level good as a scorer. But if it doesn't, can he be good enough a shooter to at least be Michael Porter Jr. Or Brandon Miller, who gets comped a lot? So the Pelicans, I think, oh my God, the fact that the Pelicans could take, I don't know, I think if Ace Bailey fell, like they would try to trade up. They just acquired that Pacers first round pick as well at 23. So they may look to make a switch. But yeah, the Pelicans here at number 7 take Trey Johnson. I don't know who I prefer between Trey or Conkinipple for the Pelican situation. I actually think I prefer Con, who I think is a good complementary piece and connecting piece around Zion Williamson and Trey Murphy, as Conkinipple I think is a better defender than Trey Johnson. That might change one day. And I think he's just a smarter basketball player. Trey Johnson does have like that flame throwing upside where he can average 20 points per game and shoot 39% from 3 one day in the NBA. I just don't know if that's what New Orleans really needs right now. They still have McCollum. You have Herb Jones. I think Conkinipple is somebody where you could plug and play all over the place that also has better court vision. So I disagree. I mean, I've kind of disagreed with a lot of these mock picks, but it is wild to see Ace Bailey at number 6 as we're a week away from the draft. Number 8, the Brooklyn Nets going Noah Essengay. Noah Essengay going ahead of Conkinipple is interesting. Or Carter Bryant if you're going that upside. Now, Essengay just measured in at 6'10" without shoes. So the size is great. And he's the second youngest player in this draft, I believe, behind Cooper Flagg. So if Essengay kind of develops into this guy that is a good defender out of the gate, he does need, I think, veteran leadership and some like offensive creators around him, and we'll see who he has the Nets also taking in this draft. But either way, I think the Nets at number 8. I don't mind them going high upside, and I know it's kind of like not lame or boring, or I don't know. I think you still just take Conkinipple at 8. You take the best player on the board, even though he doesn't maybe have all NBA potential as like Essengay does if he reaches his 100 percentile outcome given his size and defensive ability. So 9, Toronto going Derek Queen. I mean, Toronto's been in so many trade talks as of late, involving Jakob Poeltl, RJ Barrett, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, just so many teams out there. Emmanuel Quickley's been floated around a bunch. I don't dislike Derek Queen in Toronto, but I think like Darko Rajakovic likes these guys that could pass, dribble, and shoot, and Derek Queen's shot is it's a work in progress. So I think they would go Carter Bryant here. And I know you have like Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter. So do you want a Conkinipple? I think the value is just immense at number 9 to get Conkinipple. So that's what I would do if Con was on the board, even with Derek Queen there, even with Kasperi Jakuchonis there, and you worry about it later. Because Conkinipple, I think, could play like a low end 1, but he could play a high 2, a high 3. And if Barrett and Quickley could be off this team in a year from now, I want to have kind of some replacements, and that's why I like Conkinipple at 9 if he's on the board. So does he go 10 to Houston? I mean, that's, oh my God, if Houston gets Conkinipple, man, that would be insane. I mean, they won Shooter last year in Reed Shepherd, who definitely needs more playing time next year after his rookie year. I hope he gets more playing time, but who knows, he may end up getting traded. He may be traded by the time you guys see this. But yeah, Concatable at 10, I think is great value. He's a top 5 player in this class for me. So this would get an A+ of a pick. Do I want to see him in Houston? I don't dislike that. I think Houston needs a shooter, and Concatable could be that guy who's been an elite shooter at Wisconsin in high school and an elite shooter at Duke. He shot 40% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. The form is exceptional. He's a smart shooter as well. He knows when to take them. He knows when to pump fake. And I think he's a super safe prospect in this draft. I mean, the Rockets have gone upside in previous drafts with like Şengün, Jalen Green, Jabari Smith. I think they can go high floor here in Concatable. 11, Portland getting Carter Bryant. I love this a ton for Portland. I think if Carter Bryant is on the board at 11, that's who they should take. I think it gets a little interesting if he's off the board and if Noah Essengay is off the board as well. They could use another shooter, especially if they move Anthony Simons this offseason. So that could definitely be Concatable if he fell to 11, but no way he falls to 11, right? I feel like teams should be trading up left and right if he does. But Carter Bryant is another guy that has good defensive physicals. He was somebody that can be a good spot up shooter right away, because then you have Diaz, Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, if he's still here, Shaedon Sharpe are going to command a lot of the rock, and he's somebody that can be an off-ball corner shooter, but can also guard multiple positions out of the gate, and I think has really good upside if they let him grow in an offensive role. Like, if he can come off the bench and still get, like, 8 shots a night. That's what I want to see. Whoa, Chicago going Asa Newell here at 12. It's interesting to see, like, Sam Vecenie at The Athletic, and I believe Jonathan Givony at ESPN. They're lower on Asa Newell. I know Sam Vecenie is pretty low on Asa. And I like Asa's game a lot. I think he's very skilled around the rim. I think he's got better defensive upside than Derek Queen. I think he plays a little bit bigger than 6'9", and I think he's going to be extremely physical at the NBA level. The Bulls need a big man, and if you're just like not convinced about the motor of Joan Behringer, if you're concerned about the foot injury of Thomas Sorber, and if Derek Queen and Kaman Maliuwatch are off the board, bang, there's your next Chicago Bull and Asa Newell. So the Atlanta Hawks are getting Kisperis Shakuchonis at 13. They're a team that could definitely look to add a point guard or a combo guard in this draft if they're not sold on Kobe Buffkin moving forward, who could also end up getting moved this offseason, so you never really know. But Kisperis is somebody that I think is going to be a good shooter at the NBA level. He can play on the ball. He can play off the ball. He's got a good size for a 1. And if he's your backup point guard, he can hold his own defensively. And if Carter Bryant's off the board at 13, I mean, if Kisperis is on the board at 13, I'm thinking about that. If Carter Bryant and Essengay are off the board, I like Kisperis a lot more than Yegor Demon as a fit to almost any team, even Portland. I would think about Thomas Sorber here. I would think about like Cedric Coward or Nick Clifford if you want to go that mold. I think Coward fits them a little bit better. But I don't mind Kisperis, honestly, at 13. Or Conroy Boyles, who I should have mentioned. I feel like I always forget to mention him, which he has going number 14. I know like Sam Vecenie at The Athletic had Conroy Boyles going like number 8 to Philly in a trade down. So it is fascinating to see where everybody is on Conroy Boyles, who I think has one of the bigger swing skills in this draft. If he can learn how to shoot, he's going to turn into a top player in this class 100%, because he's already one of the best defenders in this class that played great defense in a great conference last year in the SEC. A little bit older as he was a sophomore, but he's physical and has a good touch around the rim, can finish with contact, and can honestly weather like a much larger role than some of these other guys, because he dealt with that at South Carolina. So if San Antonio ends up with Dylan Harper and Conroy Boyles, it's interesting because neither of those guys are like sure things from 3-point range. So I wonder how people would feel about that. Maybe they end up with a Kevin Durant, or they just get like a Malik Beasley or Gary Trent Jr. in free agency. So 15, I mean, I love this. Oklahoma City getting Cedric Coward. I think it would make a lot of sense to get Essengay if he was on the board here. I think Danny Wolf would be such a fun offensive weapon. I think Rasheer Fleming could make some sense. There's so many guys that would fit Oklahoma City. I just don't find, like, this guy at 15 is probably not playing next year. It's probably not. Hey, they may even trade this pick. Say Sacramento wants this pick, and Sacramento would give OKC their 2027 first round pick. Like, that wouldn't shock me, just because OKC is going to eventually have to worry about the second apron. And if you run through the roster, like, I'll quickly do it. You have Shea, J-Dub, Chet Holmgren, Kaysen Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Nikola Topic coming back. That's at least 9 guys right there. I don't even know if I mentioned Hardenstein, who's 10. And then you also have Dylan Jones, who was a first-round pick last year. They have another first-round pick in this draft. You have Kenrich Williams under contract as well. There's just so many guys in Oklahoma City that need minutes next year. Jalen Williams, I'd even mention the other one. So there's just a ton of guys. Maybe Coward ends up playing. Maybe there's some injuries. Maybe they actually end up making a trade this offseason. Either way, I love Coward, and I trust Oklahoma City Thunder, or Oklahoma City's development system. All right, so we have the new team at 16. I haven't really talked about Memphis Grizzlies' ideas this offseason. I think if like Kasparis Akachonis was on the board, they would definitely grab him. I think they could look at Yegor Demon as a ball handler off the bench. He has Memphis going Nick Clifford, which I like. But then I'm like, does this stump like G.G. Jackson's minutes next year or Jalen Wells' minutes next year because KCP's in there? And what about, did I say Vince Williams? Vince Williams' minutes next year. So they have a lot of wings at the moment. Now that like Laravia, Smart, Bane, Roddy, they've all been gone or are gone now. I don't mind them getting Clifford. I think Fleming has a little bit more stretch four size than Clifford. But I do think Clifford is a good ad, and I think he has a super high floor if if Memphis doesn't want to take a high upside swing with like a Fleming. I don't mind a Jace Richardson here to try to like get a shooter with Desmond Bane out the door. Minnesota is grabbing Yegor Demon at 17. TBD, I just don't know. Yegor Demon is such a weird fit on a lot of teams. Like if Utah doesn't grab a point guard, which they did at 5, like I would like Yegor at 21. I would like Yegor at 18 to Washington a lot as well. Minnesota, I think, could take a point guard. Like Yegor is probably he's definitely a way better passer than Jace Richardson. So I don't think Minnesota would go that route, especially after taking Rob Dillingham last year. But with Thomas Sorber on the board, I feel like that would be a no-brainer. Or if they really like Behringer's game. Will Riley going 18 to the Wizards. I mean, we're just getting like lanky, high upside, 3-level scoring wings and Ace Bailey and Will Riley in this draft for Washington. I'm excited about that, but man, do they need to add a point guard that can get them the ball. See if Milwaukee wants Jordan Poole. See if the Suns or the Kings or the Clippers want Jordan Poole. Just get Jordan Poole off your roster next year. Get a true initiating point guard that can average a career high in assists, that can get Riley, Koulibaly, Carrington, Ace Bailey for this mock the ball next year, and Alex Sarr. 19, we have Brooklyn getting Nolan Traore. One of the best passers in this draft. I would say it's probably like Yegor Demon's the best passer. And then I think you have like Kasparis, Nolan Traore, Ben Serif in that tier right after. But Traore could definitely get Noah Essengate the ball, which is something we need if they take Essengate at number 8. So yeah, I mean, I like Jace Richardson better than Nolan Traore, but if you're looking for a true passer and a true point guard, Traore fits that bill a little bit better. Miami getting Walter Clayton at number 20. I just don't like Clayton more than Jace Richardson, so he is Jace outside the top 20. No way that should happen, man. Whoever gets Jace outside the top 20, if that happened, would be getting an A+ for me. It would feel like Isaiah Collier 2.0 all over again. 21, Utah gets Thomas Sorber. That is great value if he could be healthy. So they got Fears at 5, Sorber at 21. I mean, they could look at backup center. They don't really have a true backup center for the long term because if you say Filipowski, Hendricks, Markkanen, like they're all 4s at the moment. So you go out and you get Thomas Sorber, who may miss a little bit of time next year if you're going to be cautious with him, but he does have like I've said it so many times, second best rim protecting upside in this draft outside of Kaman Maluach. And I think he could be a better shooter one day than Kaman if one of them was going to have an outside shot. Speaking of bigs with outside shots, Maxime Reynau going to the Atlanta Hawks here at 22. So they ended up with Kasparis and they ended up with Reynau. Some good offensive players, not adding defense, which hasn't really been the mold of the past couple of years, but they do have a little bit of a new front office now. So maybe they're going to look to add more offense. And Reynau can space the floor. He's got good size. Him and Trae Young could play off each other very well because he's a good ball handler. It does feel like Reynau is kind of past Danny Wolf in most consensus mock drafts. 23, Indiana Pacers. So this hasn't been updated with that. So they have Joan Beringer. I guess this could also go to New Orleans. I wonder who New Orleans would take with this pick, honestly. So yeah, I don't really know. I don't think there's an update here, but I do feel like Indiana would have taken Beringer. I think actually I want to talk about this trade a little bit just because I'm not sure if you guys are going to listen to the pod with Sean Davis before or after this, but Beringer, like the Pelicans trading the Pacers first round pick they had in 26 for 23, I thought was a little bit interesting because now Indiana can stack picks in a trade now with the Stepien rule. They also are going to save money against the first and second apron by not having a first this year. And what if New Orleans wants to now package 23 and 7 to move up to get Ace Bailey? I think that could also happen out of this. Oklahoma City gets Chase Richardson. Oh my God, a borderline top 10 player in this class for me is going to the Thunder at 24. I mean, that's amazing. If that happens, I would hate this for Chase because I don't know how he plays next year, but I think he's going to be an elite shooter at the NBA level. I would like to see him in Orlando at 25, but they have Rasheer Fleming. So after Desmond Bane, they get Rasheer Fleming in this draft. I think there's a chance they move Jonathan Isaac this offseason. So they may look for a little bit more like length on the perimeter. And Fleming has a 9'4" standing reach. Does he have the 7'5" wingspan, 6'8" barefoot, like a physical like specimen out there that shot 40% from three at St. Joe's. Brooklyn getting Danny Wolf. I like this because Danny Wolf could play out there with Noah Clowney. He could play out there with Day'Ron Sharpe or Nick Claxton. And I think that's good value. I think you went high upside in Essengay at 8 and Nolan Traore at 19. You can get Danny Wolf at 26. At 27, they got Drake Powell. I don't love Drake Powell in the first round, but you want to go more upside. He's got one of the best wingspans in this draft. He's a good defender, and you hope he could be a solid enough spot-up shooter out of the gate and be way better than what Dariq Whitehead was for you in the 23 draft. Oh, man, Boston gets the New England kid. Not like he's from New England, but I actually don't know where William McNeely's from. But either way, played at school at Storrs in UConn. I guess as close to Boston for most of these schools. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. But William McNeely to Boston at 28. That is insane value. William McNeely's going to go a lot higher than that. But Missoula gets one of the better three-point shooters in this draft. Noah Penda to the Suns at 29. I don't see that happening. With Kalkbrenner on the board, I think that would make a lot of sense. I'm sure the Suns are going to end up with a center in some way, shape, or form this offseason. So, yeah, you can go for defensive upside in Noah Penda. I also like Ben Seraph more than Penda in this class. And at 30, we have Ben Seraph going to the LA Clippers. I like that a lot because Seraph, I think, has got great court vision, really good size, good ball handling ability. And if that shot comes around, he could be the successor to James Harden as the point guard there in Los Angeles. We have Adu Thero going to the Minnesota Timberwolves there at 31. A great defender, a great athlete. And I like that for Minnesota if they didn't go wing because he had Yegor Demon go earlier, who's kind of a wing. Boston getting Kalkbrenner at 32. I mean, they need big man depth. You get Kalkbrenner and Lee McNeely, two Big East guys in this class. I mean, that's a home run. That is a home run for the Boston Celtics that can help them now and in the future. Charlotte goes Hugo Gonzalez at 33. Who I feel like is going to be a first rounder. I wouldn't take him in the first round, but I think teams are going to really love the measurements. I believe he's like 6'6" without shoes. He's 220 pounds when he got measured in, and he's a teenager still. Like those are really good numbers, and if that shot develops, he could be something. So Charlotte ends up with wings here at 33 and 34. Hugo Gonzalez and Chaz Lanier. I would like to see Lanier on a team that could maybe win next year rather than the Charlotte Hornets, but if they want guys that can maybe be a 3-and-D player for them out of the gate, that could be Lanier. I want him to my Knicks later on. Alex Tui to the Sixers at 35, a guy that could be an off-ball shooter and I think can have some defensive upside as well. He had Philadelphia snagging VJ Edgecombe, so I like them just getting perimeter players. Jameer Watkins to the Nets at 36. I like Watkins in this class. I don't really love him to Brooklyn. He's another player that I'd like to see on a winning team. Tyrese Proctor to the Pistons at 37. Another player that I think could help a team right away next year. Combo guard material, good three-point shooter, good ball handler. Maybe he just ends up replacing Marcus Sasser over in Detroit. San Antonio getting Cam Jones at 38. Now, that's a shooter. That is a ball handler. That is a guy that doesn't make bad mistakes or mistakes in general. Good ball handler. Can pass very well, man. I would love Cam Jones in San Antonio. Let that happen. Let that happen, please. 39, Yannick Niederhauser to the Raptors at 39. So you had them getting Derek Queen at 9. 30 picks later, they get Yannick Conan. I don't know if they would go double big in this draft. I think they could look for another ball handler that's on the board. Would they look at Javon Small? Would they look at Ryan Nembhard here? A lot of my point guards, I think every one of my top 10 point guards are off the board. Mark Sears a little bit high at 39. Next up at 40, we have Hansen Yang to the Wizards. I like that. I like that a lot. Can you run out some Hansen Yang, Alex Sarr at one point next year? I mean, it probably won't do well, but I think it'll be exciting for the future. The Warriors get somebody that could fit their offense as a good three-point shooter in Kobe Brea. Big fan of that. Amari Williams to the Kings at 42. They need big man depth. And with Conan Niederhauser off the board, I like Amari Williams more than Janai Broom to Sacramento, for example, for somebody that has a little bit more upside than Janai Broom. And I like Amari Williams more than like Rocco Zikarsky. Janai Broom to the Jazz at 43. So they ended up getting Thomas Sorber and Janai Broom in this draft. I really wonder where Janai Broom is going to go. Is he going to go in the top 45? Hunter Salas to the Thunder at 44. I like Hunter Salas, another guy that could dribble, pass, shoot, and defend. I know he didn't shoot all that well at Wake Forest last year, but I do think based off what he did in 23 and 24, he's going to be a fine shooter at the NBA level. It's just he's not going to play in OKC. 45 Chicago getting Kobe Sanders. I'm a big fan of Sanders. He could be a 1, he could be a 2, he could be a 3, but with his ball handling ability at his size, high upside for Chicago, even though he's 23. I'd like that. Orlando getting Jamon Small at 46. I'm a big fan of that as well. He's a solid three-point shooter. Spent some time in the Big 12, and I think they could look for another guard just to fill out that depth since they moved Cole Anthony. Rocco Zikarsky to the Bucks at 47. There's a chance Brook Lopez leaves. I don't think Tyler Smith is your starter right away. So yeah, you can get Rocco as just some depth. Memphis getting Ryan Nembhard at 48. Yeah, I got a lot of point guards. I mean, they may flip Cole Anthony, but now we got Ja, we got Cole Anthony, we got Scottie Pippen Jr., and we got Ryan Nembhard. So it's very crowded over there. Lachlan Obrek, who I thought was not going in the draft. No, but he is. I'm thinking of somebody different. To the Cavs at 49. Good rim runner, good like playmaking and court vision from what we saw this past season. I actually like that to Cleveland at 49, but I hope they take somebody more NBA ready. Bogoslav Markovic from Mega Basket to the Knicks at 50. I hate this. The Knicks need an NBA ready player, and he is far from it. LA Clippers getting Mark Sears at 51. So they end up with Ben Serif and Mark Sears in this draft. I like Mark Sears to the Clippers. Surround him with some good defenders if he's ever going to play. Eric Dixon to the Suns at 52. Some of the worst shot selection in this draft, but man, does he play exactly like Julius Randle? And he was a fun watch this past year at Nova. Eric Pascal is his comp. Yeah, it doesn't really remind me of Eric Pascal. Bryce Williams, I like the wing out of Nebraska to Utah here. At 53, he comps him to Alec Burks. Brooks Barnhizer, who's been rising up a lot of people's draft boards. Not like a great shooter, but can get downhill, crafty at the rim. John Conchar is the comp. And a good defender as well. Tamar Bates from Missouri going to the Lakers at 55. Another guy that could skyrocket into that second round, who is going to be on that undrafted free agent kind of line right now. Sion James going 56 to the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll tell you right now, Sion is not going that low. He's going to go in the top 45 in this draft. Way too talented. And if the Knicks passed up on him, or Micah Peavy, who's going 57 to Orlando, I would lose my mind. This is good value for Orlando at 57. John Tonje to the Cavs at 58. If the Knicks passed up on some of these guys to take Markovic, I'd be quite upset. Vlad Golden to the Rockets 59. I know they brought back Steven Adams, but Jock Landale may not be there too much longer. They can look to get another big. And that is going to wrap out Bleacher Report's mock draft. This is probably going to be the final Bleacher Report one I react to. Maybe I'll react to like an ESPN one or something like that. Maybe a video version one for you guys on YouTube before the 2025 draft. If you guys did enjoy, I appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. I'm not sure if you guys are going to get a mock on this channel anymore. You guys will definitely, like leading up to the draft, you guys are definitely though going to get a second round mock draft after night one of the draft. So Thursday morning, given how the draft went, I will be dropping a second round mock for you guys, and I'm really excited to be doing that here on the pod. So yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you guys are subscribed on the audio version so you can listen maybe in the car, maybe on a walk, maybe at the gym. Either way, hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.